welcome. Really glad you carved out time to be here with us today. Before we begin, just a quick housekeeping note. If you haven't yet, please rename yourself on Zoom with your name and organization. It helps us know who's in the room and makes it easier to connect after, those connecting moments that we have during the session. For those that I haven't met yet, my name is Rod. I am joining you from Manila, and I serve as the community choreographer for Pollinate Impact, which means I get to design spaces like this where we can pause, reflect, and grow together. So I want to start with something really simple. Many of us in this room are already mentoring, right? Whether we formally call it or not. We guide founders, we support teams, we listen, advise, and hold space for others navigating uncertainty. But rarely do we get the chance to step back and ask, how do we actually get better at mentoring? What does it mean to support someone, not just with answers, but with presence, with questions, with perspective? And even more rarely, who supports us in that journey? Because mentoring can be deeply meaningful, but it can also be complex. There are moments when you're unsure what the right thing to say is, moments where you're holding someone else's challenges while also navigating your own, moments where you wish you had a space to process, reflect, and learn, and with others who also get your own journey. And that's really where the idea of peer mentoring comes in, not as a hierarchy, not as expert and learner, but as a space where we learn alongside each other, across contexts, across regions, across experiences, where the goal isn't to have all the answers, but to ask better questions, share honestly, and grow together. And when you take that idea and bring together a cohort of people across the global South who are all navigating leadership, mentorship, and complexity in their own ways, something quite powerful happens. And that's what Catalyst Circle is. It's not just a program, it's a learning experience, a practice space, and a community where you build your skills as a mentor while also being supported in your own journey. We created Catalyst Circle together with the Human Edge. Hi, Alicia. Nice to see you. Grounded in an EMCC accredited mentoring and coaching approach, so it brings both structure and depth. But what really shapes the experience is the people in the room, the conversations, the shared reflections, the realization that you're not navigating this work alone. All right. So before we dive deeper into what the program looks like, I'm so glad everybody's excited and hear from those who have experienced it firsthand. I also want to briefly ground us and introduce us to Pollinate Impact. So for some of you, this might be the first time, or you might have heard this quite a few times already, but we are a member-led network of incubators and accelerators across the Global South. And a big part of what we try to do is create spaces where people like you, who are constantly supporting enterprises, also have space to learn, connect, and be supported yourselves. If you're not part of the network yet, we'd love to have you join us. And Kavya, if you can please bring up the QR code. Let's go to the next one first for now. Yes. You'll see more information on how to do that. And we're always happy to connect after the session. So there's a lot of opportunity here to do things like this. We have other programs as well and other convenings. So if you're interested, you can scan the code right here. All right. Now to guide our time together today. Sorry, let's go back to the agenda. We'll start with a quick icebreaker just to warm up the room and get a sense of who's here. Then we'll spend a bit of time setting the context around Catalyst Circle. From there, you'll hear a peer mentoring success story, a real experience from someone who has gone through the journey. We'll then share a little bit of an overview of Catalyst Circle, what the program looks like and how it's structured, followed by another peer story to bring that experience to life from a different perspective. And then we'll open it up to Q&A so you can ask questions, clarify, and explore whether this is right for you. And then we'll close with a short checkout after that. Alrighty. Before we move forward, also just a quick note as well. If you find yourself thinking someone else in my team or network would really benefit from this, we'd love for you to share all of this with them, as well as the next convenings that we have in the network. Those who want to stay connected to similar spaces, we also have a few upcoming sessions, conversations with investors coming up actually tomorrow. So if you'd like to join us, we are talking with small ticket size investors under $50,000, what their onus is for doing for focusing their work on small ticket sizes and just having a casual conversation with them. We also have a growth check labs coming up in May 6th, which is us going through a diagnostic tool with our special advisor, Paul Basil, who heads our growth guidance program, and also seeing where your incubators might need a bit of support. Lastly, we are exploring our literature review on what makes incubation programs effective with our signals from the field session on May 13th. So you can check all of this out on our events page on the website to learn more and sign up. So we hope to see you there as well. And thank you again for being here and for making time for your own growth in the middle of everything that you have. So let's begin with a quick check-in. Right. Thanks so much. All right. So our check-in is just really simple. We are going to do just a quick breakout room, and I have 2 questions here with me that you can pick from. So let me just quickly share it in. There we go. Thanks, Tess. So we will all be assigned a breakout room with other people. So if you can please introduce yourself to the people in the room and then answer one of these questions. So you get to pick either what's one thing you've learned from a peer in the past month, or what's one spark or challenge you're currently holding that's leading you to consider Catalyst Circle. All right. You can copy this so that you have a copy of the questions, and then we will now open up the breakout rooms so that you can get to meet some of the people here in the room. Right, whenever we're ready. Welcome back, everybody. I'm sure you had a really good conversation. I know we did in our group. It was interesting to learn more about the kind of challenges that people are having and what led them to Catalyst Circle. And a lot of what I heard, at least, was they wanted to learn more about also the challenges that other people are facing, because there's a assumption that it's similar but different, similar challenges in different contexts, and learning about how people are tackling these would be helpful. So I hope you had similar conversations or also really good ones with your group mates. All right, so thank you for joining us for the check-in. I'm going to pass it over to Ariel to give us a quick context of Catalyst Circle as a program. So let me hand it over, Ariel.
Awesome. Thank you, Rod. It's lovely to see some familiar faces and some new ones. Just to introduce myself, I am Ariel. I'm the chief convener with Pollinate Impact, and I'm based in Nairobi. So thank you all for joining our info session for the Catalyst Circle Peer Mentoring Program. I think Rod has touched on some of what I was going to share, but I'll try to reiterate some of it, but she's talked a lot about Pollinate Impact, and really the work that we do at Pollinate Impact. We've really dedicated ourselves and our work to amplifying the power of impact incubators across the global South. And we've seen through our work firsthand just how incredible you all are. You guys are really the unsung heroes who are working tirelessly to support the next generation of social entrepreneurs and impact entrepreneurs. And that's really why we created Catalyst Circle. I think it's interesting to hear some of the challenges you're facing and to see some of those dots connecting already in terms of what are some of those common challenges. So we really created this Catalyst Circle program, which really is the first peer mentoring program designed specifically for folks like you. So founders, CEOs, program managers, program associates who are operating inside these impact incubators and accelerators. Because you guys face some really tough challenges day in and day out, whether you're in Manila or Mumbai or Mombasa, and who better to understand those struggles than each other and your peers. So as incubation and acceleration staff, you know the value that mentors provide to your entrepreneurs. So now it's your turn to reap those same benefits. So when you participate in the program, not if, but when, you'll be connected one-on-one with other incubator leaders in different parts of the world. You'll have the space to grow together, to support each other, and really learn critical leadership and mentor skills in the process. So when we launched this program last year, after much ado with the Human Edge and a lot of support from Alicia and Kat and the team, we had a hunch that this cross-border peer connection thing could really be game changing. And you know what? It turned out to be true. So our first Catalyst Circle cohort is graduating this week. Yay! And we've heard again and again how impactful it was for them to be paired up with someone else who truly understood their day-to-day struggles, who are working in the same space. They built these amazing bonds, they shared super valuable insights, and they really gained a renewed sense of purpose and capability in their work. So many participants also shared, and you'll hear from them later, that the program helped them become even better mentors to the entrepreneurs in their own programs. So by going through this training and this program, they were really able to sharpen their mentoring skills and provide more meaningful guidance to the founders and entrepreneurs that they support on a day-to-day basis. But it's not just about bettering their mentorship skills. The Catalyst Circle also helped these incubator leaders and staff really develop their own leadership capabilities, because we firmly believe that when we invest in you guys who are the superstars of this industry, then we can propel the entire impact industry forward and the entire entrepreneurship ecosystem. Your insights, your lived experience, your leadership are what this industry needs and honestly what it thrives on. So that's why we're really excited to be launching the Catalyst Circle program again this year. So whether you're a seasoned mentor or a leader in your organization or new to your role, this program is really going to give you the skills, the frameworks, the tools to be an absolute rock star mentor. And by connecting you with this community across the Global South, you'll have a whole new crew to learn from, grow with, and then really make an even bigger impact together. So I invite you to join us, invest in yourself, invest in your organization. The transformation that we're seeing is happening across multiple levels, individual level, organizational level, and we really don't want you to miss out. So we really invite you to be part of this awesome program, and we really look forward to having all of you join so that we can learn and grow together in this journey. So I'll stop there. I think, Rod, I will hand it back to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ariel. No, that was great. I will hand it over to Tess to introduce our first success story for the Catalyst Circle.
Wow, I mean, success story is a big word, but hi everyone. So nice to see all of you here. I want to welcome Buru. She's based out of Nairobi, Kenya. She's a senior investment associate with Acumen. If you know of Acumen, then you should know of Eda, and she was part of the Catalyst Circle cohort 1. And I'm just going to welcome her to share a little bit about her experience and what the Catalyst Circle has been for her. So Eda, I know you're here. So karibu sana, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tess. Thank you so much, and lovely to be here. I'm having challenges with my video. If I am successful, I'll still show my face. Yeah, but I started this with a colleague of mine. Her name is Kola as well, and I think it was quite successful. I have learned a couple of things just to summarize, and I really enjoyed being paired up. The first was not very formal of pairing, it was more of practicing, just ideally speaking with other people in different regions. And it's amazing how we all have different struggles, and sometimes we also have similar stories. Some relates to career changes, some relates to family. And with the practice of this circle, you are able to talk beyond the work. You're also able to connect beyond the work and the professional settings. And now you even gain a friend. I've had multiple conversations with multiple people, and one thing I can say I kept looking forward. We had weekly sessions. It all depended on your relationship. I had been paired with a lady called Pradinya. She's based in India. She's an amazing soul. She She always had stories about her work, about her children, about anything she was going through. So what I gathered from these many conversations, sometimes it was not just to come and get a solution or to solve a problem or just to compare the strength. I have learned how to listen and just be there, because that is what we lack mostly. I had underestimated the power of just listening and not even responding, not even having no single question to ask after listening to a story. Also, sitting to reflect with that person, it's something that I have learned. And being in the investment industry, you want responses, you want answers to move fast, you just want information flowing. But sometimes there's just nothing flowing, and it's okay to sit there. It has also enabled me to have very difficult conversation, even beyond work and also personal lives. Also, it has taught me to living through uncomfortable feelings. Ideally, when you're stressed or when something is not going right, you look for something to distract yourself or to make yourself feel so comfortable. So this is something, a practice that we have sat down with Pradinya. I just say I feel frustrated, I feel like giving up, or this is how I am feeling. And we are like, it's okay to just sit in those feelings and feel that way. And you live through, and by the end of it, the other side will have come with a solution. Then I've also learned to look internally. Could I be the problem? It's a very humbling experience, because you have another person on the other side calling you out and telling you the way things are in reality. So ideally, I think I have been both on the mentee and also the mentor side. And I think it's a balance that I thought it's just a click of the fingers. You just have that skill, but actually up to now, it's something I still intentionally practice. So it's something I would really say I'd love to see what are the next courses, and I would still want to be part of the network test. And thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. It's so great to just hear what you shared, Ada. Thank you for sharing what your experience has been. So I'm going to just dive right in and talk about the Catalyst Circle. A bunch of you sent questions in through the interest form, and so that's what my presentation is going to be about. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Or you can put them down in your notebook, because we have a section for Q&A at the end. In case I don't touch on your question, then please use the Q&A opportunity to respond. So my name is Tess. I am the program manager for the Catalyst Circle and based out of Nairobi, Kenya, and I am the network nurturer with Pollinate Impact. So I think we've already had a little bit about the peer mentoring program, but just a refresher, it's a 9-month peer mentoring program. It's for incubator leaders, mentors, program managers, and founders across the global south. What do we mean by peer mentoring? Rod has mentioned this in the beginning, Ariel has mentioned it, Eda has mentioned it, but I will repeat and I will say again, it's a space where two people, often at a similar stage in their professional or personal journey, support and challenge each other to grow. I think you had Eda say that her and her peer didn't only talk about professional things, but they also spoke about personal things. And unlike traditional mentoring, which often follows a senior-junior dynamic, peer mentoring is about shared growth, offering a space to reflect, exchange ideas, and problem solve together. So your question's answered. I've seen a lot of questions around how long does the program run for? So the program runs for 9 months, broken down as follows. One, we have phase 1, which is an online self-paced mentor training. This goes on for 3 months between June to August. And then we have the second phase, which is the peer mentoring phase that runs from September to February 2027, which lasts for 6 months. So in total, that's 9 months. What is the level of commitment needed? Will it be fully virtual? So level of commitment, I'll talk about this from a time perspective. So for phase one, 2 hours per week for the self-paced learning, and then 2 hours each of 2 live mentoring sessions. And then you'll also have times when you're doing the online training where you'll have short reflections after every course. And then you'll also have time where you have to do the final assignment. I am sharing this level of commitment as someone who has also done the program. And so this is being spoken of real experience and not just what we were told. And then, of course, the time commitment for phase two. Well, this is very dependent on you and your peer. Essentially, you and your peer should meet at least 1 hour every month, twice a month. That is what we recommend. And then in the peer mentoring phase, we'll also have 2 peer calls, which are 2 hours each. And then, of course, we'll have some light touch check-ins. So that could either be through surveys or through check-in calls. So in total, the time commitment over the 9 months is going to be about 30 to 35 hours. And then, yes, it will be fully virtual. All right. Next question. What are the timings of the sessions and is there flexibility? I have seen this question being asked severally. Phase one will have 3 mandatory live sessions, all happening on Zoom at 12 p.m. UTC. The specific calendar dates will be shared with you and it will be put on your calendar, but essentially they will happen at the same time on Zoom. In terms of flexibility, unfortunately, the dates and the timings have been locked in with the Human Edge facilitators. So we really do ask for you to slot in these calendar invitations as soon as you possibly can and try to create time for these mandatory live sessions. Okay, what will the format of engagement across the entire program be? So across the 2 phases, the engagement will look a little different. In phase one, which is more about learning and practice, as I mentioned earlier, you'll have the self-paced learning via the Human Edge learning platform. And then you'll have 2 live practice sessions on Zoom with all cohort members. Hi, am I clear? Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So in the first phase, you'll have the self-paced learning on the learning platform. So the Human Edge will enroll you onto the platform, and then you'll take the coursework in a self-paced way. But of course, we do have some time frames on which certain modules need to be completed. And then you'll have 2 live practice sessions, which is basically a Zoom call with all the participants, where you get to practice the mentoring skills you're learning with your peers. These live practice sessions will be facilitated by the Human Edge. And then in phase 2, what does the engagement look like? So one, we, Pollinate Impact, will facilitate a rapport building Zoom session with your peer, which is typically, we'll pair you, but then we want to accelerate how you and your peer will interact and build rapport. And so that's something we're going to do via Zoom. And then the mentoring cadence and format is decided by you and your peer. That means how often you want to meet and the way in which you want to meet with your peer, that is deliberated by you and them. We, Pollinate Impact, will have check-in calls and we'll also have check-in surveys where we kind of ask you, how is it going? Do you need any support? And then finally, between the 6-month period, we're going to have 2 cohort peer calls supported and facilitated by the Human Edge. I know this is a lot to take in. We'll share the slides after, but this is just to give you a good sense of what your commitment will look like and what the different engagement formats will look like over the next 9 months. All right, what is the working relationship between Pollinate Impact and the Human Edge? This is a question I also saw. So the Human Edge is our program partner with about 20 plus years of experience in delivering mentoring programs through the EMCC accredited syllabus. Alicia, because you're here, what does EMCC stand for?
European Mentoring and Coaching Council. It's a global organization based in the UK, effectively providing standards and supervision for organizations which are leading on mentoring programs. They also issue regular best practices, and their premise, which I found very interesting, is not set. It's an ongoing development. So they basically members contribute to the evolution of the sort of foundation document. So, and we've been accredited with them for the last 10 years. We are in fact about to go into another reapplication with them. I think what is worthy, once you complete the program with Pollinate Impact, Catalyst Impact, you are able to apply for a official certificate with AMCC. Obviously, there is a sort of link to it links to sort of financial. Sorry, there is a fee which links to that and potentially some work, but you ultimately, off the back of taking part in this program, could become a accredited member of EMCC. This is sort of like if you ever aspire to sort of make it more formal. Hope that answered the question.
Yes, yes, it does. I know that was not too clear. Alicia, you're not the most clearest. I think there's something with your audio.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think because I'm linked to the browser and that may be impacting it. I'm sorry about it.
No worries at all. But I think to probably what can I say? To probably not summarize, but to just try and paraphrase or say back what Alicia has mentioned is EMCC is accredited, which means typically by the time you're finishing the coursework or the program, you will get a certificate, and this certificate can and will be recognized across different areas or different parts of the region to just certify that the course that you've gone through has been accredited. It is certified and it is accredited. So yeah, so the relationship between Pollinate Impact and us, between the Human Edge and us, my apologies, is the Human Edge supports the design and facilitation of the learning journey, especially in phase 1. So Alicia will be a common face, her email will be a common email that you'll receive throughout phase 1. And then we, Pollinate Impact, lead on the overall vision and the strategic direction of the program. And then, of course, the Human Edge in phase 1 will lead a lot of the communication and facilitation. And then in phase 2, Pollinate Impact will lead on communication and participant support. So at any given point during phase 1, if you're struggling, you can always reach out to either me or Alicia. And in phase 2, you can always reach out to me and Alicia, but at any given point, either of us is leading on communication. All right. How will I be matched with my peer, and what does the structure and accountability process look like? I really like this question. So on matching process, so matching will be based on the information shared in your application form, as well as similarities in mentoring goals and interests, and the rapport built throughout phase 1. So Pollinate Impact will do the matching, but I will do the matching based on the information that you shared, based on your mentoring goals and based on your interest, as well as the rapport you built with the person that we want to pair you up with. In terms of structure and accountability, for structure, we, together with the Human Edge, will share with you a peer mentoring handbook, which will help guide your peer relationship. However, accountability sits with your commitment to your goals, your peer, and the process. And finally, Pollinate Impact and the Human Edge will hold regular check-ins to support progress and address any challenges along the way. Another question that we received is, how is peer learning structured to ensure meaningful learning and exchange across different participants? I thought this was a brilliant question. And so how we do this is, one, during the live practice sessions, you, the participants, will be placed into breakout rooms for 2 rounds of structured peer exchange. In the first round, you'll share a real challenge you're currently experiencing, and your peers will support you in a mentoring role. In the second round, the roles will switch, and you will step into the mentor role to support others. So basically, everyone in the program will experience both perspectives, as a mentor and as a mentee. So basically, there's no teacher-student. Throughout the program, you will be the student and you will be the teacher. This is the last question. Typically, what are some of the key outcomes that are usually achieved by the end of the program? This is, so maybe I should mention this right now. Not all of the we are yet to see the outcomes. We are yet to fully see the outcomes of the program. Because as you can imagine, first, we are dealing with people. People, you cannot predict how soon or how long someone will take to transform, right? That's one. And then two, to realize some of our outcomes, it will take time, right? So what I'm sharing is what we have seen thus far. And then, of course, 6 months from the time cohort 1 graduates, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more. So, number one, I think this is something we saw in our last report. Confidence in mentoring has increased. So the participants reported a 45 to 59% confidence in mentoring. And this growth is linked to the core skills developed and practiced. As you have probably seen on our website, one of the key skills that you learn within the peer mentoring program is active listening. Eda mentioned this, asking powerful questions, giving and receiving feedback, and building trust and rapport. We also had participants strengthen their ability to create safe, open spaces for meaningful conversations. And one of the bigger things is a lot of the gains have been around relationship leadership competencies rather than technical skills. So if you're coming into the program with a mentality of I want to grow in a technical skill, well, that might be the case. It's not what the peer mentoring program is. It's not what it's necessarily created for. And hence why a lot of the changes we saw were leading to relational leadership. Lastly, there's a shift observed from direct problem solving mindset towards enabling and supporting others. And finally, Ariel mentioned this at the beginning, we've also seen an increased confidence in stepping into and growing within leadership roles. Essentially, if you're growing in active listening, if you're growing in asking powerful questions, if you're growing in giving and receiving feedback, all these are soft skills that eventually, grow you to becoming a good leader and being a good mentor to the entrepreneurs that you support and to the team that you lead. And then finally, how much does a program cost? So you should know that this program is actually valued at $330. But for you, if you are a member of Pollinate Impact, per person, it's $49.99 dollars per person, and then $39.99 for every subsequent colleague. What does that mean? You should bring a team member. And then if you're not a Pollinate Impact member, then it's $99.99, $999 per person. And then for every subsequent person that you bring from your organization, it's $74.99. No, it's $74.99. So what does that mean? The more people you bring, the cheaper it is. I will end by saying registration closes on May 15th and the peer mentoring officially begins on June 14th. I know you might have questions, so I'll ask you to just put them down in your notebook. And then I want to welcome our next cohort 1 participant, who is Shreya. She's based out of New Delhi. She was part of cohort 1 and she does consulting in different impact organizations. So welcome, Shreya, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tess. I just want to share that this is so surreal because I feel like I was in the orientation session just few days ago, and I cannot believe the entire course has come to an end, and our graduation ceremony is also coming up. So I want to quickly share my experience with the participants here. So I actually signed up for the peer mentoring program because we have the Gen Z workforce joining us at workplace now, and I realized that Gen Z's approach workplace very differently from people in my generation, and they see colleagues and managers as mentors rather than anything else. So I thought it's time for me to understand how mentoring works so that I can work with my Gen Z colleagues better and we both can support each other better. So that was my primary motivation of joining the program. And Tess and everyone, it has been a wonderful journey. Initially, I felt I could follow the courses online at my own pace. But when the peer mentoring started, I was a bit nervous how I would handle it, how it would go. But I was paired with Emily, who is in Nairobi, and it was really wonderful to discover how you guys paired us is still baffles me, because we both are so similar in our professional and personal journeys. So we got a lot to connect at a personal level and share a lot of tips at a professional level. But what I also learned through the process was that peer mentoring is different from coaching. It is different from mentoring in a general sense. In peer mentoring, there is no hierarchy. You're both at the same level, and you don't have to just show up for the other person. You also have to show up fully as your own person to be there for the other person. So peer mentoring is sort of a structured friendship for me, and it really, having those 4 months, having one session per month, really allowed me a safe space to grow as a peer mentor, because I had to learn to show up more authentically with my peer mentor, to be vulnerable, to be able to share struggles, which may sound easy, but it takes time. It takes rapport building and a sense of trust and comfort to really start showing up as yourself and being fully present for the other person also. So I believe that was my biggest takeaway from peer mentoring sessions and from the whole course, how to show up authentically as yourself and be there to listen to the other person in whichever form they need. Sometimes it wasn't suggestions or it wasn't feedback that they were looking for. They just needed a space to be heard, and to learn to be present that way has been my biggest learning. And I hope all of you gain as much as I have from this program, and wishing you all the best.
Great. Thank you so much, Shreya, for sharing. Yeah, that time has flown so fast for cohort one. Just to share, I was also part of that cohort, and I can't believe that tomorrow is already, this week is already the graduation time, and it's just so glad to see how much how much people have grown throughout the process. So at this point in time, we are opening the floor up for any questions. For anybody who has anything that they'd like to ask, maybe something that Tess hasn't covered yet, or they'd like to know more from what she's shared. I see Albine here having questions around membership. So again, just to clarify, that the rates that Tess shared were for the entire program. So whether that's $49.99 as a member or $99.99 for non-members, that's already for the entire program of 9 months and not a per month thing. And then for those who do want to become a member, if anybody from the team can please share our website and how to become a member, you'll see more details there, Alpine, if you want to become a part of the Pollinate Impact Network. Alrighty. Again, open up the floor. You can unmute. You can put your questions on the chat. Or you can just raise your hand to let us know if you have a question.
And if you have a question to the participants as well, that is also, to Shreya and Ada, that's also welcomed as well. Usually, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so this has been a fantastic presentation. Thank you. I wanted to know if there's an effort at pairing across regions, or is the effort more to pair within regions? Yes.
Thanks so much for that question, Essie. We actually put in a lot of effort to pair across regions. And so when you fill out the application form, we will ask you, do you want to be paired with someone in a similar region, or do you want to be paired with someone in a different region? And it's peer mentoring, and we want to encourage cross collaboration and learning from peers across different geographies. So yes, we actually really try to pair across different geographies where possible.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Essie. Anybody else who has a question, clarification? And maybe while we're thinking, I will just bring up our feedback form. Of course, we always want to improve our session. So if you could help us please answer this form while you're thinking, maybe if you have any more questions. The exact dates, yes. Tess, if you can please bring up that slide again. Karen will just bring up the slides of the actual program, but basically the registration is until May 15th, and then the program begins on June, when is it?
June
Tess?
14th. June
June
14th.
14th is the start.
Yes. So registration closes on May 15th, and then peer mentoring will begin on June 14th. But if you go to our website, we have all the dates listed, right? From when the peer calls are going to be, from when your assignment is due, from when graduation is due. All of that is present on the website, but we're happy to share that with you as soon as the call is over. Yeah, Rod, just before you go, now that I noticed that there are no questions, perhaps I'd like to ask, what is exciting you most about the peer mentoring program? What have you learned today about the peer mentoring program that you didn't know before? And I just welcome you to unmute or raise your hand and just share as we wind down on today's information session.
I think people are busy filling up the feedback form at this point. But thank you. Thanks everybody for being so game. We did send out the link. So if you saw, thanks Ariel for sharing how to become a member. So as Ariel mentioned, if you'd like to save a few, not even a few, a significant amount of dollars for attending the Catalyst Circle, we invite you to be part of the network so that if you're a member, you get the member rate. Tess did also share the registration link for the Catalyst Circle. And if you are still on the fence at this point, I did share the link to the Catalyst Circle page of the website. So if you need more information, if you'd like to review a little bit of what Tess was talking about, and Ariel as well, you can find all of that on the website. And of course, we'll be sending out the slides and everything else as soon as the session is over. Thank you everybody for answering. Awesome. Last call for questions in case we have any. I have one question, Tess, in case this wasn't covered earlier, and I don't think so. What if I'm is this open to those who aren't incubators, or is it only for those staff and founders within incubators right now? Is there a limit in terms of who can join the Catalyst Circle?
Yeah, thanks, Rod. So EDA is actually in the investment space. And so it's not only open to incubators and accelerators, but you need to be supporting entrepreneurs in one way or another. So Shreya was a consultant. So I think as long as your work directly involves you working with entrepreneurs and supporting entrepreneurs, then the program is open to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tess. Thanks for clarifying that. And I know we didn't get to hear Alicia earlier. I don't know, Alicia, if you can try again on just a little bit on the EMCC. I did put that it was the European Mentoring and Coaching Council. Yeah, what does it mean to be accredited? And like, once I graduate from the Catalyst Circle, what does that mean for me as somebody who has been through an EMCC accredited program?
Hopefully the connection is better now because I'm
Yes.
through the app now. Thank you. And sorry. So all what I was saying earlier is that our mentor training is accredited by EMCC. And what that means is that if you are hoping to develop and you're thinking sort of long term and decide to become accredited with EMCC, this is a very good starting point for you. Effectively, what it means, you can take the learnings from our program. If you have the proof of engagement in terms of actually mentoring or peer mentoring someone, you can take this and become accredited with EMCC if this is what you choose to do. Without that, obviously, there will be a certificate of completion issued by Pollinate Impact. But I think what I wanted to say, which was really well, I think, described by both Shreya and Edda. I think what most of the cohort 1 leaders shared with us is the fact that rarely they find space where they can actually invest an hour of their time for their own personal development. And this signing up for this program enabled it. What I mean by that they felt the personal development quite often takes sort of backseat. Through this program, this was enabled, obviously. The other thing is, it's not just connections across various locations, is the fact that you continuing the relationship for 9 months in total, from the starting point to the end. So it's not superficial. You, as Shreya said, you've gained a friend. So it's not just connection. Obviously, you look at the various synergies, but it's not sort of temporary because of the definition how we believe mentoring is trust-based long-term relationship. I think this is one of the programs which nurtures that. And I think Tess's comment also around the technical knowledge, whilst this is not at the forefront of the program, obviously organically a lot of knowledge within the sector is being shared by the peers, by those who join the program. So that happens very much organically and without sort of, prescribed format. So, and I think anyone who has had opportunity working and engaging with Tess will know that she will do everything to ensure that you have a successful peer mentoring relationship, and I can attest to that. So I could only, from my side, encourage you, and obviously we will do our best to work with you, because ultimately, like Tess said, mentoring is leadership in action. All the leadership skills match up. So I can only encourage you to join us and work along myself and also our facilitator, Nadine Asma, who would lead on the live sessions. What I also love, this is the final, we will try to make it as flexible to make it work. So the program, the modules are self-paced. We really try to work with participants for you to succeed. We have deadlines because they are recommended, and we want everybody to be on the same page. But we also want to work with you because we know that you are juggling multiple roles, both at work, at home, etc. So whilst there is a recommended timeline, there is recommended format, we really want you to be successful in completing it. And I guess, Tess, you can agree with that's what we've done on cohort 1. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
And see you soon,
Thanks so much.
hopefully.
Thanks, Elise. Yeah, thank you. I saw Linda put up her hand. I don't know, Linda, if you have a question that you'd like to ask before we end. No, all good for now. All right, no worries. Okay, but thank you, Elise, and thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming for today's session. I hope you learn more about the program, and we hope to see you in this next cohort. We will be sending all links via email, so please watch out for the thank you email, the presentation, the link for applications, and also how to become a member if you're interested. They'll all be there in the thank you email. We'll be sending it in the next few days, so watch out for that. And we really hope that you consider joining the program. It's a really awesome one, and based on those experiences that we've heard, people have learned a lot and also gained new people, new friends within the process. So thank you again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Most